Now we're going to actually start priming the figure. But before we do that, I'd like to go over a few things real quick. There's two main types of primers that figure modelers use: an enamel-based primer, which is a hardy primer conducive to handling, but the downside to this primer is that it's very toxic, so it's not anything you want to spray indoors. Another type of primer that's primarily used in figure modeling is an acrylic-based primer. This is non-toxic and can be used indoors. The downside to this kind of primer is that it can come off with general handling of a figure while you're painting it. When painting your model kits, resin figures can be primed with any kind of primer. But when you're using a vinyl model kit, you want to use a lacquer-based primer, because if you don't, it will not adhere to the kit. There's several brands of primers on the market. Just to name a few: Duplicolor, Krylon, Tamiya, Garage Kids Colors, Reaper. These are just to name a few, but there are many other quality brand primers on the market. Now we're going to start priming the figure. The reason I like using an airbrush is because it allows you to get into fine, minute detail areas without obliterating the detail, such as around the eye, and then the nose, and the mouth, and the ear. The aerosol cans spray a very wide pattern, which can obliterate any kind of fine detail that you're trying to achieve. As you can see, the figure is now primed. I left some of the resin showing through the primer on purpose, because this will begin to break the skin texture up, which is a desired effect. What I will do next is spray the figure with a white primer. The white primer is sprayed over the uppermost parts of the figure, which will create a halo effect. The halo effect in turn creates a highlight, and the gray primer creates a shadow. This will help map out the figure as you start your base coat. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to paint the figure with the white primer. But before I do, I want to strain the white primer with some just regular sheer pantyhose. What I do is I get the pantyhose and I bring it taut around the bowl of the airbrush. I get the primer and I very carefully pour the primer onto the pantyhose. A little drop at a time. And if you pull it tight like this, it's not going to run everywhere. Sometimes you just see little flakes of paint in there, and sometimes you don't, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so let's get the figure, turn it with the top of the head facing you, with the airbrush about 12 inches away or so. You just start spraying the uppermost parts of the figure in kind of a halo fashion. As you can see, now the figure is primed white and gray. All the areas are mapped out for you for your highlights and your shadows. Turn the figure around. You can see that all the high points are hit with the white and all the low points or shadows are gray. So it'll give you a good map of when you start your base coat.